Now, I'm just up the road in Aston, Birmingham, where pets with diet and weight issues have come to see our specially assembled team of nurses and vets. Join me later in the show when I'll meet some larger-than-life pets wanting to shed those pounds. Hello.
Hello.
Who have we got here?
We have Ned, who's a rescue cat.
Okay.
And then we have Cookie Monster, but his name's Cookie.
Did the name Cookie Monster come from actually eating so much?
I called him Cookie because he eats all the cookies, yeah, because he's greedy.
Oh, yeah. And in general, you're here today because you feel they may be a little bit overweight?
Yeah, these are overweight.
So well, hopefully we'll get a resolution to that and we can figure out what the problem is. Rachel loves her cats, but she obviously needs some help controlling their diets.
Cookie and Ned, please.
First to receive attention is fiery fat boy Ned. So he seems to be a fairly big cat in general.
Yeah, he's a biggish cat. He's not too overweight. I think when we come to see the other one in a minute, it's quite a bit bigger. The way we tend to tell is by doing what we call a body condition score.
Yeah.
So we would run our hands down the side of him and try and feel for a waist, and he actually does have a little bit of a waist. So we'd probably say he's in the overweight category, potentially not quite obese yet.
Right. So Rachel, how do you find Ned's feeding habits?
Because they're all rescues and they're all strays, I'm a bit like, I mollycoddle them, so I put extra in there.
So you're admitting that this is potentially more of a case of overfeeding than anything else?
And that does tend to be a really common problem, especially in animals that have been rescued. People want to show their love through their food.
I don't know how much to reduce their food.
Well, I think before we get into that, we should see the bigger culprit.
The big monster.
Cats are natural predators, but when we feed them, they don't need to hunt, so they can put on weight. Giving them cat toys to play with will help, but don't ruin it by feeding them snacks.
Mine do go out and they've got lots of toys, they do have everything, but I am guilty. I gave Cookie, had some porridge and cheese today.
Every bit of cheese is the equivalent of us eating a pizza. It can really cause
the equivalent of a piece of cheese is like...
a cube of cheese, the equivalent of us eating a whole 9-inch pizza.
So today, Cookie has already had some porridge and cheese.
They do try and eat out of my bowl with me, so he's there every
And would you let them?
Well, have I let them eat out of my bowl, yeah.
And you'd continue on eating the food afterwards?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Rachel's love for her cats is shameless. Ned was just fat. But as for her other cat, Cookie, well, it's not hard to see how he's got so big. It looks like he's always got his paws in the cookie jar.
So when we looked at the other one, obviously you could see a bit of a waist. Here, there's no waist, it's all bulge there.
And would you consider this guy to be obese?
Yeah, he's definitely in that category 5.
He's massive, it does worry me.
So why don't we get him on the scales then?
Yeah, let's try and get him on the scales and see what he is today.
I am worried.
Here we go.
Cookie is a big cat. I can't see his weigh-in going in his favour.
What are we reading today? So he's just topping the scales on 7 kilos, so he needs to lose 2 to 2.5 kilos, okay. It's probably going to take you about 6 months to do that.
So Rachel, you seem quite shocked that he's 7 kilos.
I know that I need to stop doing it. It's just when they look at me with their little faces, it's really hard for me.
He's category 5 obese, possibly even 6. But yeah, you know.
Yeah, but I don't know how to get him to lose weight. That's the difficulty. It's not like you can put a cat on a treadmill or take a cat for a walk on a lead.
So you can keep a food diary, but it's also about working on that exercise and looking for games and things that you can play. Looking at feeding him at the top of the stairs so that he has to run up to get his food. Right, okay, that would work well.
I mean, I do want to try and get him to lose weight, but I just don't know how much to reduce their dry food by.
What we would usually say is cut out those treats to begin with. That's a really easy thing that you can do. Stop giving them the cheese and the porridge, and that'll help massively. Then with their food, if you start to reduce it by about 20%, but I think the key thing is weighing it out. So what you do is weigh out what they need, and then that's all they can have a day. And then we weigh them again in a month and see if it's starting to come off.
Okay.
If it's not, we reduce it again a little bit more and just keep doing that gradually.
What about low-calorie food?
Yeah, that's another good idea to have a look at.
I think you can do it.
I hope so.
You've got to believe in yourself and be strong.
I am strong, but who can obviously say no to that little face?
It's been a busy old day here in Aston. Pets of all shapes and sizes have been passing through. One of them is Blue, with owners Laura Dixon and Maureen Hathaway. So tell us, who's this fella?
This is Blue.
Hello, Blue.
Blue was diagnosed with epilepsy back in June. He was quite a healthy weight before. Since June, he's been gaining about 1 kilo a month.
Oh, Blue, it's not nice to hear, buddy. Let's see what the vet has to say. Blue is getting bigger, and treating his epilepsy could be affecting his weight. So they're looking for advice on how to manage it. But things are not what they seem. So tell us, what's going on with Blue?
Blue's gone quite chunky in the last 6 months. He was diagnosed with epilepsy.
Right, okay.
And since starting medication, he's just been piling on the pounds.
Right, and how much weight do you think he's actually put on since the medication?
6 kilos.
6 kilos, so
Yeah.
that's quite a lot in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
So Terry, what do you think is going on?
Well, some of the medications used to control seizures in dogs can increase their appetite and make it more likely that they're going to gain weight.
When he has a fit, Laura, what does that actually consist of?
Usually he'll drop to the floor. His whole body, then all the muscles tighten. His teeth become exposed, and then he'll begin to shake violently.
So it must be quite a scary ordeal.
Extremely scary.
Do you feel like since he's been on the medication that you've increased his food intake dramatically? Have you been feeding him differently?
Now he's on a wet and a dry mix, and then I fill it up with vegetables, sort of a cup of brown rice. He's fed 3 times a day now, but we are guilty of feeding him from our own plates.
Okay.
He definitely is overweight, but I think we've caught him just in time. I think there are a lot of ways that we can improve the way you feed him. I certainly think it sounds like you're feeding him too much for a dog of his size. Obviously, things like rice contain a great deal of calories, a lot of carbohydrates, and you know, a lot of these extra things that you're feeding aren't necessarily appropriate or necessary to keep a dog fit and healthy.
2 weeks ago, Blue weighed in at 30.2 kilos. That's 5 kilos heavier than he should be.
So good, he's 30 kilos today. He has actually lost a little bit of weight since last time we saw him, which is good. It's a step in the right direction. It is a slow rate of weight loss, and I do think there are more things we could do to, you know, accelerate this weight loss and get him back to a more appropriate body weight.
Good boy.
Blue is losing weight, but he's not losing it fast enough to make a real difference.
Can you tell us a bit about your exercise regime?
He gets 2 walks a day, one in the morning, that could be anything from half an hour to an hour, and then he gets another walk in the afternoon or / evening, and again that's about an hour, maybe longer.
The recommended time for a collie is about 2 hours, so what you're doing is excellent. It probably is just down to the feeding as much as anything. My advice would be to start with aim to get him down to about 25 kilos. If you feed for a 25 kilo dog, you'll get a 25 kilo dog. If you feed for a 30 kilo dog, you'll just maintain his weight.
Are treats a big culprit? You know, you see loads of pet owners, you know, they're out for a walk and they give them a little treat, and then they have something else and they give them another little treat. There seems to, I see an awful lot of these types of fellas.
I feel in moderation, they can be appropriate. Maybe 2 or 3 of these per day, that's fine.
Our biggest downside is, because he's got those, you can see him giving the puppy dog eyes, is when we're eating, he does get some of our food, which is probably one of the worst things we do.
I know this sounds and feels horrible, but have you ever tried to put him out of the room when you're eating?
Yes. Yeah, we have. He just cries at the door, scratches, you know, and
maybe a few days of tough love and he might stop.
Yeah.
Really stick with it, you'll really see the benefits.
Well, Laura, it seems to be the case that, you know what to do now. I think, you know, to cut out the big variable diet, bring it down to 1, stick to a dog for 25 kgs rather than 30 kgs, keep him off the treats, keep him away from your food.
Yeah.
And in no time at all, he'll be back down to 25 kg and run around like a looper. Laura and Maureen are getting great advice. Blue was on a slippery slope towards obesity, but now they've been steered in the right direction. This lardy boy should keep the weight off and lead a healthy life.